Saturday, December 7th, 2001. In the frozen peaks of Tora Bora, as U.S. warplanes pound strongholds, in one of the biggest pushes of the War on Terror, a legend emerges among the chaos as Delta Force operator John Shrek McPhee moves ridge to ridge, stacking body after body after body after body. And not even 2 years later, as Delta swept Baghdad, McPhee would cement this reputation of ultra-violence and earn the nickname of all nicknames, the Sheriff of Baghdad. And this was only the beginning, as the Sheriff would undeniably make Special Operations history through his reconnaissance work as a singleton, operating as a lone wolf behind enemy lines.
Everyone in a 25-yard radius is gonna fucking die.
In 1986, 17-year-old New Jersey native John McPhee joins the U.S. Army, starting his career, like most Special Operations legends, on the line, serving as an infantryman to prove himself before taking on the brutal gauntlet of becoming a 3rd Bat Ranger. But for McPhee, tabs and long marches weren't the end goal. For him, they were just his warm-up. From Ranger Battalion, McPhee pushed into Special Forces selection, passing the Q course and earning his Green Beret, where he deployed to trouble spots across the globe, from Bosnia to the Middle East and even Africa. And inside the Special Operations community, his reputation began to grow, steady under fire and surgically precise. And by 1999, it was that skill set and that mindset to match that got McPhee invited to one of the most secretive units in the world, Delta Force. He showed up hammered to tryouts and passed. Unlike Ranger Special Forces selection, this time selection wasn't about how much weight you could carry or how fast you could run. It was about whether you could think, adapt, and survive when no one was coming to save you. And for weeks, McPhee navigated the mountains of West Virginia on nothing but a map and a compass, covering miles of terrain, solo. No encouragement, no feedback. From there came the operator training course, CQB, hostage rescue, reconnaissance, shooting until it was muscle memory. And by the time he earned his place in Delta, McPhee had already molded into the kind of operator who could be dropped anywhere in the world and just figure it out. He was charismatic, serious but unserious, and the type of guy who knew how to not only be a team player, but a team leader. And 2 years later, the world would change forever, and America's focus was zeroed in on Afghanistan, and Delta Force was heavily on the prowl for Osama bin Laden. CIA teams and Special Operations units were already in country, linking up with Northern Alliance fighters, calling in airstrikes, and pushing Al-Qaeda toward the mountains on the Pakistan border. And one of those mountains had a name burned into the war's history: Tora Bora, a sprawling cave complex, fortified, stocked, and defended by die-hard fighters. The assessment was clear. If bin Laden was still in Afghanistan, this is where he'd be. But the fighting started long before they reached the caves. McPhee moved with the Afghan allies, climbing into snowy ridges. Above them, the sky ripped open, B-52s dropping payloads that shook the earth. And below, the mountains erupted in fire and dust. But enemy fighters were dug in deep, shooting from spider holes and rock cuts. McPhee dropped into cover, glassed their positions, and keyed the radio, calling in danger close airstrikes that landed so near the concussion would have been felt in your teeth. But before we get on about how the goon kept gooning, a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, Aura. Alright, last time we searched my best friend's name in Google, and he really didn't mind, so we'll do it again. Look at the results. You can see his previous addresses, the address of his mom's basement. You can check his criminal record, his restraining orders from Chuck E. Cheese. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone number or why your inbox is flooded with spam, this is why. There are these sad excuses of companies called data brokers that sell your data. They do it without your consent, and they make billions selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your info if you ask, they make it almost impossible to do. That is why I recommend Aura to all of my friends and family, and to you. They take care of the hard part by automatically removing your information from data broker lists, and most importantly, keeping it off. Aura works around the clock to keep your personal information and data safe. And by automatically opting out of data broker lists, Aura has significantly reduced the number of spam calls that I receive. In fact, the number of female calls that I receive has increased by 600%. But that's not even all they do. Aura provides comprehensive protection in one convenient place. That includes antivirus software, a VPN for secure browsing, secure password management, identity theft insurance, credit monitoring, and I've even noticed an increase in gains in the gym. And I don't go to a gym, I am the gym. You don't need to subscribe monthly to multiple apps. Aura consolidates everything you need into one convenient place, saving you time, money, and storage. If you want to shove it up a data broker's database and protect your information, well, Aura is offering you a 2-week free trial, so you're in luck. Simply go to aura.com/popomedic or check the link in the description and protect you and your family's information today. Following the danger close airstrikes, McPhee and his team pushed ridge to ridge, staying low, but always moving forward. Constant forward pressure. And even when the sun dipped, they held their position till first light. And when the sun rose, they pushed again. At one point, McPhee set up behind a heavy gun, an M2 Browning, sending 50 cal round after 50 cal round into enemy positions hundreds of yards away. He later said he took the time to focus and kill as many human beings as he could. In these days of bombardment, collapsed cave entrances. By the time the Battle of Tora Bora was over, more than 200 Al-Qaeda were dead, but bin Laden was gone, and presumably slipped through the mountains into Pakistan. By 2002, intel leading to the capture-kill of UBL pointed to a high-value facilitator, the quote-unquote last man who knew where UBL was, moving between villages in eastern Afghanistan. Too risky for a team, Delta and the CIA conceived the unthinkable mission to send one man, one single Delta operator, to run a wreck deep undercover and deep in enemy territory. McPhee raised his hand. He would be their singleton.
I'm your
Singleton.
Dressed in native garb, concealing a modified M4 under his tunic and shawl, McPhee moved through rural hamlets, switching between beat-up taxis, shared trucks, and backseat rides, keeping his head down and his story straight. As he moved through eastern Afghanistan and into the rugged rural belt between Nangarhar province, where he linked up with a truck driver who fed him into the valley. In the middle of the night, the truck driver pulled off into a small village and entered a mud-walled compound, where together they were to sleep for the night. But McPhee kept one eye open, and somewhere in the darkness, a child began to scream, sharp, panicked, consistent, then it stopped. McPhee wasn't interested in finding out why. He took his sidearm and stuck the muzzle of his pistol into the sleeping truck driver's ribs, and calmly stated, "Time to fucking go." They roll on through the night, and by dawn, he's in the target village, picking up the target's trail, moving between rooftop vantage points and hidden alleyways, all while walking among Taliban patrols. When the picture was complete, he vanished the same way he came. For McPhee, being a singleton was all good fun, but soon enough, he'd be called to Baghdad.
Last night, a square mile in central Baghdad seemed like hell on earth.
Baghdad had become a power keg of militias, foreign fighters, and organized insurgent cells, filling the power vacuum, and Delta entered the fight early. hitting high-value targets nightly, rolling up bomb makers, financiers, and cell leaders. McPhee and his team are running these ops almost every night. Direct action raids kicked off in the small hours. One night it's a snatch and grab on a bomb maker's safe house, the next it's an assault on a walled compound in Sadr City. And between his leadership and role as a singleton, McPhee had only become all the more infamous for always wearing an old and unwanted State Department t-shirt with the word Sheriff of Baghdad, serving diplomacy one person at a time. Before long, people would ask, "Who's that Sheriff of Baghdad guy?" And as the raids continued, so did the name. And the sheriff's rep was simple. If you're on his list, he's coming for you, and he's not coming with a warrant. The intel McPhee brought back from being a singleton didn't sit in a folder. It went straight into action. Follow-on Delta elements and Allied strike teams hit the compounds, cutting off escape routes and dismantling the facilitators' networks piece by piece. McPhee would go on to run hundreds of solo missions across Iraq and Afghanistan before retiring as a sergeant major. He now runs a training company called Sheriff of Baghdad Tactical, built on the same principles that kept him alive on those mountains: efficiency, precision, and absolute accountability. He's since written a highly anticipated book titled The Singleton, and if you want to support the sheriff, feel free to pre-order it from his website. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more mini docs in the works, and you don't want to miss them. And also be sure to check me out over on Instagram and X as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.